Well, thank you for coming to this show. I started doing this like educational live, but just one purpose: educate people.
Perfect.
That's the only thing that I want. So I've been, um, they got. I don't know if Jay was here, Jay Woods,
Woods? Yeah,
Ralph
good
Acom-
job, man.
Ralph
And yeah,
Comporta, yes, and now is you. Next week I will have JC
fantastic.
Perez. Yeah,
Excellent.
so we just wanted to spread out the old CMT program, the idea, get a good education,
Perfect.
especially nowadays where information is, available for everyone, but there's other information that I don't want to even cover. But
Right, right.
so, so let's start with you, with yourself. So look, you can introduce you to the people that don't know you. So who are you? And
Absolutely.
what's your like a little background about you, and just tell us more about you. Yes.
Sure thing. So my name's Tyler Wood. Really excited that you've got this initiative going on, and it's right in line with what we do at the CMT Association. I am the managing director of global business development, which sounds like a really fancy title, but we have a very small team and a very large membership. So I get to spend most of my time working with investment management firms, research shops, exchanges, broker dealers, talking to them about the value of technical analysis and about hiring CMT charter holders. The other piece of what we do, we spend a lot of time with regulators. So at the national level, federal regulation for what the licensing requirements are varies drastically from country to country. And the CMT credential is an education platform that is really universal. So we talk to the regulators about incorporating some technical analysis and maybe even considering CMT charter holders as having an even higher level than the basic requirements of regulation. But I also get to work really closely with volunteers for the association. We run a ton of educational programming. So if you haven't heard about the CMT Association, I invite you guys to come join us. Check out some of the educational sessions that we run with real experts in the field. The organization is almost 50 years old, and we've really been the home for all of the great innovations in market research, behavioral finance, everything related to technical
Hmm.
analysis. And so I get to spend a lot of time working on conferences and events, online virtual summits now that we're all in this coronavirus pandemic. But
Hmm.
that programming we do on behalf of our members. It's part of the member services that we offer, but also for folks who are trying to learn and want to know more about technical analysis. So by way of background, I'm not a trader. I haven't. I came into the business really from the management side, and in my MBA program, technical analysis came up twice. The first time
Okay.
was in a corporate finance class where the professor said, "If you hear the words technical and analysis come out of somebody's mouth, you run the other direction. It's total hogwash." I wrote that down in my notebook. I was like, "Oh yeah, voodoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Stay away from it. It's nonsense." And then the second time it came up was actually one of the last classes I had at the end of the program. This very wise old Indian gentleman who was teaching a quantitative analysis class, and we were doing some back testing, forward testing, but time series data. We used a lot of price data, and he mentioned that there is a lot more than just regression analysis out there, and that if we were really interested in the field, there's this organization called the Market Technicians Association in New York. We could find out some more. So that was where I first heard about the MTA, and that really turned me on. The second week on the job, I got to meet the great Ralph Acampora, and from there, my love of technical analysis has just been growing. So it's been an exciting 10 years. Hey, you got slides. Look at that.
Yeah. So as you can see here, two things. So I will try to show some slides. So you see here the people are connecting to the live. So far we had 60 people. I hope it can be higher. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's see. Yeah. So could you let me see? I don't know if you can see it,
I can
but
see
I will
part of
try
it.
to do my best. Yeah. So go
Yeah.
ahead. So start with that. Yeah.
So the foundation of our organization actually it started. Technical analysis is hundreds of years old. There's a gentleman named Munehisa Homa, who I think I mentioned in one of these slides. But rice traders in Japan actually understood some of the behavior of traders and realized that if they could visualize the movements in price behavior, they'd have a much greater edge. And that was actually the birth of candlestick charting. That goes back to the mid 17th century. Charles Dow is sort of the father of modern technical analysis that started here in the States, what is now the Wall Street Journal and the Dow Jones indexes. But he understood that prices moved in trends, primary, secondary, and tertiary trends. He was also observing and understanding the behavior of investors. Our organization, standing on the shoulders of giants, as Ralph would say. I look up to the Ralph Akamporas, the Phil Roths of the world, but as he said, there were greats before them. So it was a small group of equity research analysts in New York, and there were luncheons at the New York Society of Securities Analysts. All the sector groups would break off, and Ralph and his good buddy John Brooks asked, "Well, where are the technical analysts meeting? Where's the breakout room?"
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, technicians, you guys just go back down to the basement and you look at your charts. We have no space for you." And that was really the championing the underdog for technicians all over the world that Ralph and John got started, and we have taken off tremendously since then. They put in a ton of work starting in the late 1960s to form the association. I was actually looking at some of our old Journal of Technical Analysis issues from the early 1980s, and the organization at that time was debating whether or not to even have a certification. Right, the CFA had started to take shape for valuation and fundamental investors, and they realized that to be established in the industry, they needed to have a common body of knowledge that would apply to everyone in the field, and that was the birth of the now CMT program that's quite worldwide, globally used. So you fast forward to today. I don't know if you guys can all see what's behind Juan, but we have a global organization with members in over 137 countries.
So you repeat that, how many countries?
137.
Wow, so that's really impressive, including some in Latin America. We were going to cover that later, but yes,
absolutely.
Keep on. Yes, keep on. Yes.
And I think that was, part of Ralph's original message. Technical analysis is a very universal language, and understanding the math of market internals, price and volume, and all of the various indicators that we can look at. It's not language specific, right? So you're not looking at corporate guidance from a CEO or CFO. Language is really not an issue. A chart is universal, and so that has really helped expand the organization, and we've thankfully been there for folks when the market turns over. We've seen a huge growth, which hopefully this doesn't sound opportunistic, but rather as a resource for folks who go through really tumultuous times like we're seeing right now. So after the dot-com burst, we saw a huge flock of test takers and CMT program enrollment in the early 2000s. And again, after the financial collapse in 2008, we saw a lot of folks who were trying to add tools to their discipline. They're expert money managers, sometimes mid or late stage career professionals who realized that they needed some more arrows in their quiver, so to speak, or another tool in their toolbox. So technical analysis is a very complementary discipline for those who use all sorts of other data and analysis. But we're seeing that again, where even in mainstream media, you get a sharp correction, and suddenly all of the news outlets are bringing, just marching out the technicians, and they want to know what price levels, right?
What's going to happen? What's a retracement? We're going to see another correction. Is this the bottom? All the kind of questions. Yes.
Exactly. How do we know when the bottom is in?
Yes.
This is a great question, but we hope that folks are coming to the CMT program in advance of conditions like this. It's all about creating a disciplined, repeatable process using these tools so that you can identify, when momentum is running out of steam, when you see, important intermarket rotations, you start to see utilities outperforming, you are in for trouble. And that is what the program is all about. It's preparation for times like these. It's very difficult to change your investment process mid-course.
Correct.
Trying to be out there and help folks wherever possible. So it's been
okay. So
ahead.
I think it's let me move to the next slide. Let me see. I couldn't I got your entire presentation, but I just can probably show a couple. So can you now? So this is an opportunity for everyone.
Mhm.
So the exam is gonna be in December. I'm taking that. I registered for the exam. So and I've been studying really hard. You don't have any idea how much time and effort I'm putting on this because I took it one time, I didn't pass it, and said, "Well, it's over. I'm
Yeah,
taking this seriously."
you're
Okay,
coming
so
back.
yes.
Fantastic. Well, the CMT program is really about guiding you through a comprehensive body of knowledge. So we do offer all three levels of the exam twice a year, once in June and once in December. Unfortunately, this June, all of the candidates who are registered, we ended up postponing. We administer the exams through Prometric test centers. If you've ever taken a high stakes exam before, you know it's like going through an airport security before you get into
Yeah,
sitting for the
yeah,
exam.
yes, yep.
And those cubicles are awfully close together. So in light of coronavirus, they needed to shut down several of their test centers. But we've actually got a new plan going ahead. There's still a lot of uncertainty around where the public health situation is going to be at. So we will have live test centers available all over the world as usual. But if there are closures or if there are health risks, we've also enabled all of the candidates to sit for the exam through remote proctoring. So that means that you could sit for the test from your home or your office, not have to travel anywhere, not have to be in a test center. There's a lot
So
more
you guys
detail.
consider that, or it's just a project right now, or it's
We're
moving
going live.
forward? Okay,
Yep. It
okay,
will it will be available. There are a lot of conditions to maintain the integrity and security of the exams.
yes, correct.
It's incumbent on the candidate to have a isolated space where they can sit for the exams. You don't have any interruptions. They take the exam security very seriously. So when you are sitting for your remote proctored exam, there's actually someone who's going to watch you through the webcam on your computer. So there's a lot of conditions to that. There's a lot more information
Oh, okay,
on
okay,
our website.
all
But we
right,
will
I see.
absolutely have that available for everybody who needs it in December.
Okay. Oh, that's I mean that's amazing. So,
Yeah,
so based on what you're saying, so if anyone is in, I don't know, in Argentina or Chile or any other country, so can that person take that exam by using that form?
absolutely. And even before we adapted to online testing, remote proctoring, we have test centers in Bogota, in Santiago, in you name it across Latin America. But I realize that not everybody lives in major city centers, so there are folks who still need to travel a ways to get to a Prometric center. This will enable, even if you are far reaching in the Andes, you can still sit for the exam as long as you've got high speed internet. So
Okay, that's I mean that's really incredible, and it's gonna speed up the I mean the entire program around the world, not just only in Latin America. Okay,
right,
that's
that's
great.
right.
So let me see if I can show another slide. I don't know if you can see it right now. That's Could you tell us more about the value of the CMT? Because most people want to know why should I take the CMT?
Absolutely.
What is the value of this?
Yep. And for someone like yourself, we have small children that we have to take care of. We have full-time jobs. There's a lot of
Yeah.
demands on your time. So I want everybody who's hearing this to know that it's a significant commitment. We want the exams to be rigorous. We want them to be comprehensive, so that when you earn those three letters, that really means something in the industry. So the reason people pursue the CMT program is twofold. One is that they're seeking improved investment performance, right? So whatever your role is in the industry, you might be a client advisor and you want to do better on behalf of those clients. You might be a managed futures trend following CTA and you want to improve returns, you want to protect capital. You might be a research analyst who needs a better method for relaying to your readers and to your audience what is happening right now and where they can find opportunities and stay away from risks. So the improvement of performance, and we'll talk a little more about what technical analysis gives you in that realm. And the second reason people pursue the CMT program and give up so much of their personal time to study and to sit for these
Yeah.
exams is that it opens career paths. So you'll see a little graph just behind Juan. We'll send these slides around to anybody who'd like them. But what we did was a lot of survey work with recent CMT charter holders, people who had just completed the program and earned their designation. And what we found was not surprising. Folks had promotions, they had salary increases, they saw advancement of their career inside their firm, or maybe even move to a new position. But there's a really interesting stat there. About 52% of the folks who earned the CMT designation in that first year after getting their charter, they had a greater responsibility within the firm. And we dug into that. What that
important, repeat that, 52%. Just listen to that, guys. 52%, and that's you have stats for that, right?
We have stats for all of these in terms of salaries and promotions and new positions. But the greater responsibility one was interesting. What they were answering was that they had greater assets under management. So either their firm allocated more capital for them to manage because they had greater trust in their disciplined, repeatable process, or if they were managing client money, they had greater allocations from clients and new folks coming on to their portfolio, again, because the clients trust that you have a sound risk management discipline, you're going to protect their capital, and you're finding ways to outperform your benchmark. So that, to us, that's really the value of the credential, is around those career opportunities, and where that could take you is really diverse. We've got lots of different pie charts about where members are, and it's across the board. Some work at exchanges, some are hedge fund strategy developers. They're running algorithmic and quantitative strategies. Others are client advisors, or they sit within banks at treasury desks. The job roles that are opened up from a CMT are really, really diverse. And that's because technical analysis covers all asset classes. It's totally agnostic as to what sector or style you invest in. And so that's really exciting to us.
So that means, like, for instance, someone wants to, I don't know, work in a bank in Singapore, for instance, or have clients in Singapore. So the CMT, so people in Singapore will recognize that, and they will see the value. That I think is a really important thing, right?
That's one of the most important things. That's why we have this global network of members, charter holders, and the local chapters, and that's why we do all of that advocacy work, so that it's recognized whether you're in Hong Kong or Hawaii or anywhere in between. The mark has and that also comes down to the security of the test. So no matter who is taking it, it's the exact same exam with the same security, and we know that it has value everywhere in the world.
That's good. So let's see. Well, I think you just covered this. Yeah. So now let's talk about a little bit more for the people. I'm thinking most people in this room they want to just get the level 1. So can you emphasize the level 1 to people get more from you? How long do I need to study, or questions like that?
Absolutely. And I think we've got a little slide in there just about the textbooks, the time that we recommend for studying, and it's a pretty wide range. So if you are brand new to the industry, maybe you've just graduated from an undergraduate program, you might need as much as 80 hours to 120 hours to study for the CMT Level 1 exam. And that's going to be because they're introducing topics that you might not have heard before. And the Level 1 program is really focused on basic recognition and definitions. So do you understand the concept of trend, that markets trend across multiple time frames? Do you understand some of the basic price level indicators of technical analysis, and can you recognize what they are? So the Level 1 exam is very approachable. I don't want to scare anybody. If you've been in the industry you've been in the industry for a few years, you've heard all of these terms. You're going to recognize all these because you've seen it on your Icon or your Bloomberg terminal, or you've been seeing these things at work. And so the Level 1 exam is multiple choice. It's only 2 hours. It's 120 questions. And really, it's just about level setting everybody so that they can move on to Level 2 and Level 3. What we're trying to do is establish a common vocabulary of what all these technical tools mean, and make sure that people understand the concept. So if you're like myself and you went through a traditional MBA program and you studied finance,
Mm-hmm.
you got a lot on modern portfolio theory, a lot on the efficient markets hypothesis, and you've
Yes.
probably had a lot of people that tell you, the market is completely random. So if you come to the CMT program after having an undergraduate or a master's level program like that, a lot of this is going to sound very different. And really the emphasis that we've got is that you can use both disciplines together. Technicians don't need to be so dogmatic, and neither do the fundamental crowd.
That's great.
So, yeah. So level one, it builds from level one to level two to level three. Level one's just definition and recognition. You get to level two, and we're asking you, how you might combine some of these things. So if you're looking at a MACD momentum indicator, what else do you need to understand how that's moving? Where you might find a divergence or a confirmation. So you might look at an RSI. And so we talk a little bit more about the application. And at level three, it's about synthesizing all of these tools and basically making your call as an analyst or a portfolio manager about whether you're going to buy, sell, or hold at a given set of data. So the level three exam for some folks is really fun because we're giving you some price data, a chart, and a table, and asking you to take that role. You let us know your answer on a couple multiple choice, and then you have some time to explain why. What is it that you're seeing on that chart? What is the volume telling you? And you basically make your argument, which is really fun. You play the role of the PM or the analyst.
And how many sponsorships you need for the level three?
So throughout the program, at any time, you can apply for professional membership. So great question, Juan. We have the tests, 3-part exam. We want to make sure that you understand. The other part about being a professional association is that we are self-regulating, and we want people to be really engaged and connected. So early on, the founders of the organization required 3 sponsors. So that means, Juan, you're taking your exams. You might, have success on level 2 and say, I want to get this professional membership thing out of the way. So as soon as I finish level 3, I'm ready to go. And all that does, it connects you to 3 senior folks in the organization, members and charter holders. They ask you a little bit about how you use technical analysis in a professional capacity. And it's really a chance for you to meet people, be connected with the organization, as opposed to just taking a test and getting some letters. Yeah. We really value that community. But they are going to look for a professional requirement to be met, and that's 3 years. So if you've passed all 3 exams and you've got 3 years experience in the business, and that could be in any role. You could be a client advisor, you could be a newsletter writer, a research analyst, you name it, and that meets the professional requirement, and then you become a CMT charter holder.
That's a great goal. So now also, because when I registered for the exam, now you have access to this incredible software. Can you tell us more about that, the Optuma software, that you can do many things, you can practice, you can put all the charts, and you can put all the indicators that you want, and even you can do at the back testing too. So can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. We realize that technical analysis is hard to learn just from a textbook. Reading these things is not the same as rolling up your sleeves and getting your hands around it. So we wanted to find a charting partner so that everybody would have access to some really top-level software. There's a gentleman named Matthew Verdau, and he runs the company Optuma. It's a fantastic charting service, and it plugs into whatever you're currently using. So